The overall situation is declining sales, which have led to declining profits. They forecast that their operating margins will be about half of what they were last year, for the forecast for the rest of the year.
In a surprising announcement that shakes the very foundations of the automotive industry, Carlos Tavares, the CEO of Stellantis, has pulled back the curtain on a shocking truth about the future of some of America's most iconic car brands. With an intensity that demands attention, he has revealed the fate of the once revered nameplates of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. The implications of his revelations are nothing short of earth-shattering, and they're sure to reshape the very landscape of the industry. So what does this mean for the future of these beloved American brands? And how could the decisions made in the coming days and weeks shape their path? What's happening? In the high-stakes world of the automotive industry, the formation of Stellantis in 2021 was hailed as a game-changing event. Born from the merger of industry titans Fiat Chrysler Automobiles and the PSA Group, this new giant promised to rewrite the rules of the game, uniting a stable of iconic American brands, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, under a single global banner. However, the initial enthusiasm has quickly given way to a sense of unease and concern as the harsh realities of the post-merger landscape have begun to unfold. Under the stewardship of Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares, troubling reports have emerged, casting doubt on the long-term viability of these brands. Alarming sales declines for Chrysler and Dodge have sent shockwaves through the industry, leaving observers to wonder if these once mighty icons have been consigned to the annals of automotive history. But what's really going on? How did they end up here? Let me break it down for you, but first, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Dramatic turnarounds. Carlos Tavares has made quite a name for himself in the automotive world, primarily recognized for his knack for implementing strategic cost-cutting measures that have delivered impressive outcomes. Throughout his career at both PSA Group and Stellantis, Tavares has consistently focused on streamlining operations and trimming expenses, ensuring that his teams remain agile and effective in a competitive marketplace. Let's dig deeper into his journey and the results of his initiatives, as well as the controversy that sometimes shadows his methods. When Tavares took over at PSA Group, he was stepping into a whirlwind of financial chaos. The company was grappling with considerable losses and a tarnished reputation in the market, but rather than being daunted by the challenge, Tavares saw this as an opportunity to turn the tide. One of his primary achievements during this period was profitability restoration. Through an array of meticulously executed cost reduction initiatives, he not only stabilized the company, but revitalized its market standing. This phase marked a remarkable shift for PSA as it transitioned from a state of financial distress to a competitive and profitable entity. Tavares focused on rethinking processes and eliminating unnecessary expenditures. His approach involved assessing every aspect of operations, from manufacturing to marketing, to determine where efficiencies could be achieved. This deep dive into the company's inner workings fueled a return to profitability that left industry observers impressed. Tavares' strategic overhaul ensured that PSA could recover its lost ground, but the credit didn't stop at just making the numbers look good. His efforts were widely praised as a transformative force, reinvigorating the brand and restoring confidence among investors and consumers alike. Then came the next big challenge at Stellantis, which formed from the merger of PSA Group and Fiat Chrysler. Tavares found himself at the helm of a behemoth in the automotive industry during a critical time marked by unprecedented challenges, including the COVID-19 pandemic. Amidst these tough economic conditions, Tavares employed his proven strategies to drive operational efficiency. One of his standout accomplishments was enabling Stellantis to achieve significant profit margins despite the global supply chain disruptions that plagued many other manufacturers. This ability to secure profitability during a period of uncertainty was, in many ways, a testament to Tavares' foresight and adaptability. It's fascinating to see how a leader's vision can carve paths through obstacles, but this journey hasn't been without its bumps in the road. Although Tavares has garnered acclaim for his cost-cutting skills, his methods have also drawn criticism from various stakeholders. Some dealers, analysts, and labor unions have raised eyebrows over his strategies. Let me explain why. why. DForward 2030. Let's kick things off with Tavares' defining initiative, the DForward 2030 plan. This electrification scheme essentially lays out Stellantis' vision for becoming a leader in the electric vehicle market. Tavares has grand ambitions, aiming for a complete transformation of the company's repertoire. One of the cornerstone goals of this plan is a commitment to 100% electric vehicles by 2030. That's right, Stellantis is setting its sights on a fully electric lineup across all its brands by the time we hit the end of this decade. It's not just about slapping on a few electric motors. This move necessitates significant investments in cutting-edge electric vehicle technology and the necessary infrastructure to support it. What's that hefty price tag attached to this electrification goal, you ask? Well, Tavares has committed a jaw-dropping $33 billion to bolster electrification and software development by 2025. This ambitious financial commitment aims to enhance Stellantis' competitiveness as the race to capture the ever-evolving electric vehicle market heats up. Essentially, Tavares is betting big on the future of mobility. But will this gamble pay off? Given the rapid changes in consumer preferences and the technological landscape, time will tell. However, here comes the kicker. Despite these lofty goals, the critics are raising their voices. There are significant concerns regarding Stellantis' operational challenges, particularly in the North American market. The harsh reality is that declining sales and diminishing market share in this crucial region threaten the viability of the electrification strategy. With revenues dwindling, there's a looming doubt about whether the necessary resources required for such sweeping investments will even be available. This brings us to the core of Tavares' strategy: aggressive cost-cutting measures. Tavares believes that prioritizing immediate profitability is key in this intensely competitive climate. Though some may argue that this philosophy could undermine long-term growth, he seems to view it as essential to ensuring that Stellantis can remain operationally efficient while making the investments in technology and infrastructure required to embrace the electric future. Carlos Tavares has embarked on a bold and contentious journey of transforming the company into a leaner, meaner profit machine. His game plan? Aggressive cost-cutting measures designed to boost short-term profitability. While this strategy might seem like a smart way to navigate turbulent waters, it's sparked significant debate among stakeholders, particularly when it comes to the future of Stellantis' beloved American brands like Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. So let's talk about the moves that have ignited discussions about their implications for the long-term health of the company's iconic brands. The corporate bloodbath. Let's talk about layoffs. Stellantis isn't just cutting fat, it's trimming the workforce in a significant way. The company has announced a series of layoffs across various operations as part of a broader restructuring effort aimed at increasing efficiency and profitability. While the numbers may paint a picture of streamlined operations, they also tell a story of looming job insecurity. Labor unions and employees are understandably rattled by these announcements, raising alarms about job security and the negative impact on morale within the ranks. When workers are uncertain about their roles, it creates an atmosphere filled with anxiety, which can become a breeding ground for low productivity and dissatisfaction. The potential loss of skilled workers doesn't just hurt the individuals affected, it can have far-reaching consequences on the corporate culture and the company's ability to innovate moving forward. Then we have the deeply controversial plant closures. As part of the cost-cutting strategy, Stellantis has decided to shut down or scale back operations at several facilities. The halt of production at the Belvidere facility in Illinois stands out as a particularly contentious decision. On the one hand, this move is seen as a way to slash costs immediately. On the other hand, it raises eyebrows about the company's commitment to its long-term manufacturing capabilities. Closing plants might provide a temporary financial cushion, but will it also lead to a diminished ability to respond to market demands in the future? Critics argue that prioritizing short-term savings over sustainable investment in manufacturing technologies is a recipe for disaster. After all, if Stellantis wants to compete effectively in an increasingly electrified market, its manufacturing capabilities must adapt and evolve. Cutting corners now might come back to haunt them later. Then we have the reduction in marketing budgets, a move that seems counterintuitive, especially in a competitive market. To save costs, Stellantis has slashed the marketing budgets for its various brands, which could spell trouble for brand visibility and consumer engagement. This is particularly concerning for the lesser known and struggling names like Chrysler and Dodge, which may may rely heavily on strong marketing efforts to capture consumer interest. Is this the right time to dial down marketing when building brand strength can directly impact sales? Without adequate marketing support, these brands risk becoming overshadowed and forgotten in a crowded automotive landscape, potentially leading to further sales declines and eroding market share. It's a classic case of potentially saving a dime now, but losing a dollar down the line. Let's not forget the changes to dealer compensation, which have also raised eyebrows. Tavares has decided to modify the compensation structures for dealers, and this shift hasn't been met with cheers. Many dealers feel that these changes have jeopardized their ability to sell vehicles profitably, leading to dissatisfaction within the dealer network. When dealers are unhappy, it affects the entire chain of distribution, making it harder for Stellantis to move cars off the lot. If dealers are struggling to see returns on their investments, they may become less motivated to market and promote Stellantis vehicles actively. These cost-cutting initiatives have prompted a chorus of criticism from various stakeholders. Detractors argue that while trimming costs may provide a temporary boost to the bottom line, it does a disservice to the long-term health of Stellantis' iconic American brands. It's like taking a shortcut that appears to save time, but could actually lead to a dead end, leaving the company vulnerable in an already challenging lane. Profit over people. When it comes to Carlos Tavares' leadership style at Stellantis, one thing is crystal clear: he's got profitability on the brain. Tavares places a strong emphasis on profit margins over sheer sales volume, a strategy that has not gone unnoticed by analysts and industry watchers alike. But is this laser focus leading the company in the right direction or driving it off a cliff? Buckle up as we dive into the nuances of this approach and explore its implications, from declining sales figures to investor dissatisfaction. Let's start with those sales figures because, frankly, the numbers speak volumes. Literally, since Tavares took the helm, Stellantis has faced a stark reality in the form of significant declines in sales, particularly in the North American market. The numbers are indeed alarming. Reports show that sales have plummeted by 20% compared to previous years. For a company that has historically relied on robust performances, especially from its Jeep and Ram brands, this drop isn't just a blip on the radar, it's a warning sign. Jeep and Ram have been cash cows for Stellantis, and now they're struggling to keep pace with their competitors. This raises some critical questions. What's causing the downturn? Is it a temporary fluctuation, or does it signal deeper issues within the company? Tavares' declaration that high profit margins take precedence over large sales volumes is more than just corporate jargon. It's a mantra he lives by. He firmly believes that focusing on maintaining those robust profit margins is more crucial than simply pushing out more units. Sure, this strategy might yield immediate financial gains, presenting a favorable picture in quarterly reports. However, there's a significant catch. This mindset can create distance between the company and its consumer base. If customers start feeling like they're not getting enough bang for their buck, they might very well look elsewhere. Competitors who offer more value for similar or lower price points could easily snatch away market share. Investors disconnect. Investors are hardly thrilled with the trajectory that Stellantis is on either. Analysts have taken a critical stance, downgrading the company's stock amid growing concerns about its market share and profitability outlook. In fact, Stellantis' stock price has taken quite the nosedive, plummeting by a staggering 42% this year alone. This decline has prompted serious discussions about Tavares' long-term vision for the company. Can his strategy really sustain Stellantis through the inevitable highs and lows of the automotive life cycle? As executives scrutinize sales data and investor reports, the underlying question remains: is Tavares' focus on profit margins a solid long-term strategy, or is it just a risky gamble that could backfire? But let's break it down a bit further. The automotive industry is evolving rapidly, particularly with the explosive growth of electric vehicles and shifting consumer preferences. Car buyers are becoming increasingly savvy and expect more than just a good deal. They want exceptional value. They desire not only quality vehicles, but also innovative technology, sustainability considerations, and brands that resonate with their values. When a company disproportionately prioritizes profit margins, it risks overlooking these critical aspects that influence consumer decisions. Take a second to think about this, or let me paint the picture for you. Picture a customer who is considering a new sedan. They walk into a dealership filled with flashy new models, and they get hit with marketing touting the latest safety features, fuel efficiency, and technology integrations. They've got all these appealing options presented to them, but if they sense that the company isn't genuinely invested in enhancing their experience, or if a competitor is clearly positioning itself as the brand with the best value, loyalty can fly right out the window. The stakes are high in this game of automotive chess, and every move counts. In the end, the effectiveness of Tavares' approach lies in striking that delicate balance between profitability and consumer value. The automotive industry is undergoing radical changes, and if Stellantis wants to navigate these changes successfully, it'll require more than just penny pinching. It needs a robust strategy that incorporates value creation for consumers while still focusing on financial health. And let's talk about the troubles that Stellantis is facing, particularly concerning its American brands: Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Each brand is battling its own unique set of challenges, and these issues are piling up to create a heavy weight, dragging the entire company down. So let's talk about the casualties on this corporate battlefield and what it means for the future. Chrysler. Chrysler is in a precarious situation with its lineup reduced to just 2 models, the Chrysler 300 sedan and the Pacifica minivan. This drastic shrinkage signifies a troubling strategy that leaves consumers with few choices. The 300, which was once a proud emblem of American luxury, is struggling to maintain its appeal in a market that has moved on. Meanwhile, while the Pacifica is a well-engineered minivan, it's simply not enough to uphold the brand's rich legacy. The brand is losing its once cherished status as a go-to choice for American families, and there's a sense of urgency as it faces a dwindling customer base. Adding fuel to the fire, there's a growing perception among consumers that Chrysler vehicles are priced way too high for what they deliver. This perception hasn't just affected sales, it's a lingering sentiment that's haunting their prospects. People are looking at the price tags on these models and shaking their heads in disbelief, especially when competitors are stepping up their games by offering more features at equal or even lower price points. The result? Chrysler is getting left behind as potential buyers flock to brands that not only provide better value, but seem to understand what today's consumers really want. To make matters worse, the company has shown a troubling lack of investment. Although there have been various proposals aimed at revitalizing and expanding the Chrysler lineup, management has, for the most part, turned a blind eye to these suggestions. This hands-off approach means there's little hope for fresh models or innovative technology that could reignite interest. Without new offerings to capture attention, Chrysler is becoming increasingly vulnerable to the rapid shifts in market demands and the preferences of an ever-savvy consumer base that craves variety and innovation. Dodge. Dodge is currently grappling with a series of formidable challenges, each one compounding the other and threatening the brand's once thriving reputation. One of the most pressing issues is tied to inventory management. Let's talk about the situation with the Dodge Hornet, a vehicle that launched recently but has been anything but a sales hit. The expectations were high, but the reality is grim. Excessive inventory highlights a disconnect between production rates and actual market demand. What does that mean? Simply put, there are too many unsold vehicles waiting for a buyer. With each unsold car piling onto the lot, the costs rise, putting further pressure on the company. The Hornet's lackluster performance doesn't just point to a single failure. It's a signal flare revealing deeper, more systemic issues lurking within the brand. But that's not the whole story. The emerging tide of electrification is causing ripples. No, make that waves of controversy among the enthusiasts who have long championed Dodge. The company's CEO, Carlos Tavares, is spearheading a shift towards electric vehicles, which might sound like a smart investment given the industry's trajectory. However, many loyal Dodge fans are feeling left out in the cold. The plans to phase out beloved muscle cars like the Charger and Challenger in favor of electric substitutes. That's not just a minor tweak, it's a potential fracture in the relationship with a fan base that places immense value on raw power, performance, and the nostalgia tied to these iconic machines. When you tinker with the essence of a brand, you run the risk of losing its soul. As if that weren't enough, the pivot towards electrification inevitably leads to customer alienation. This shift away from the brand's storied V8 engines in favor of what many perceive as soulless electric replacements is a bitter pill for traditional Dodge customers to swallow. These drivers have always identified with Dodge's performance-driven image. Its muscle cars need to roar, not hum quietly down the street. By sidelining powerful combustion engines, Dodge is not merely changing its product lineup, it's undermining its core identity. Loyal customers are beginning to feel like their preferences are being brushed aside in favor of a broader corporate agenda that prioritizes new technologies over deeply ingrained values. Jeep. Now we all know that Jeep is making headlines for all the wrong reasons. One of the biggest issues is the significant price hikes that have been rolled out across several of its most popular models, such as the iconic Wrangler. These increases aren't just minor tweaks. They're turning Jeep vehicles into luxury items that the average consumer can no longer afford. With these price escalations, Jeep risks shutting the door on many potential buyers, severely limiting market reach. When the price tags climb without a corresponding enhancement in features, technology, or any groundbreaking changes, it sends a worrying message that Jeep might be losing its competitive edge in an overwhelmingly crowded SUV market. To complicate matters further, as new Jeep models become increasingly unaffordable, a shift is taking place in consumer behavior. There's been a noticeable boom in the used car market, particularly with the Jeep Wrangler, a vehicle that used to symbolize rugged adventure and freedom. The growing demand for used models suggests a clear trend. Buyers are seeking alternatives to costly new models that have crossed the line into the realm of the prohibitively expensive. Sure, this surge in used vehicle sales might provide a temporary boost for Jeep, but it also underscores a troubling narrative. More potential buyers are choosing to sit on the sidelines, opting out of new purchases altogether. In this scenario, Jeep isn't just looking at declining sales, it's witnessing a shift in how consumers perceive their brand. And let's not forget the elephant in the room: intense competitive pressures. The market is boiling over with rivals eager to grab a piece of the action. Take the Ford Bronco for instance. It has gained serious traction with consumers, captivating attention thanks to its perfect blend of rugged charm and modern features. While competitors are innovating, Jeep finds itself in a tough spot. As alternatives emerge that are appealing in both aesthetics and pricing, Jeep must play its cards right. The urgency to adapt and respond quickly has never been higher, because if it fails to do so, the brand risks not just losing a slice of the market, but potentially watching its stake dwindle as customers flock to fresher, more exciting options. Ram is currently facing a perfect storm of challenges that threaten its standing in the competitive truck market. It's hard to ignore the critical model discontinuations that have recently taken place. The loss of affordable options, particularly the Ram 1500 Classic, has sent shockwaves through the brand. This isn't just a minor change, it's a significant loss for budget-conscious consumers who have historically relied on Ram for trucks that deliver both reliability and affordability. With fewer choices available, those looking for dependable vehicles at reasonable prices are suddenly left with limited options, forcing them to reconsider their loyalty to the Ram brand. To add to the dilemma, the entire Ram lineup has been hit hard by rising prices. The numbers are climbing, making it increasingly difficult for many buyers to justify the investment. While it's true that premium features can boost profit margins for Ram, they come with a hefty price tag that many consumers are hesitant to pay. What about the average buyer who might have considered a new Ram just last year? These escalating costs are putting Ram out of reach for countless potential customers. The reality is stark. Without a compelling reason to spend more, many drivers will think twice before committing to a purchase. This dilemma leads directly to significant affordability issues that affect a wide spectrum of buyers. The cumulative effect of these price increases across all of Ram's offerings is creating a bleak landscape for truck enthusiasts. They're facing ballooning costs with no corresponding rise in value or utility that makes the choice easier. As the landscape shifts, it's clear that many are beginning to seek alternatives, competitors who can offer better pricing structures or financing options that feel more feasible. The question hangs heavy: will Ram be able to turn this ship around before it's too